Hi there, my name's Darrell. It's great to see you and welcome to Old Man Cycling. So it's been a little bit longer really than I wanted since my last video. It's been nearly 3 weeks now. We've had a little bit of bad weather and I've just lacked a little bit of motivation as well to just get out. So today's a really nice day, so I can't resist getting out on the bike this morning. So come along and join me, let's get cracking. It's great to be back out on the bike again. I don't know whether it's the same for you. You're probably a little bit more hardcore of a cyclist and go out all the time. I just find it really difficult sometimes to just find the time to get out, and I'm really a fair weather cyclist. And we've had such wet weather just recently. It's just not been very pleasant to go out. So I just I've not really had the motivation to get out. Now I probably should make more effort and do it more often. Now if this is your first time visiting the channel, you can do me a really big favour by clicking the like, subscribe and the bell notifications, and also that means that you won't miss out on any of my future content. This morning I've got a 22-mile cycle planned into the Wahoo, and the goal is to try and leave the motor off on my e-bike as long as possible. Now I did talk in my last video how I sometimes get comments from people that wonder why I've got an e-bike and don't use a motor, but I treat it like an extra gear, just to give me a bit of a boost when I need it. So I'm going to keep it off as long as possible. Now I'm really not sure how long I'll be able to keep the motor off this morning, because I'm only 1.5 miles into the ride and already my knees are not feeling great. They have not been brilliant just lately, giving me a bit of a problem. But sometimes what happens is once I get about 5 or 6 miles into the ride, they tend to loosen up a bit and not be so much of a problem. So I'm not particularly worried just at the moment, but that's what the motor's there for. And that was the whole point why I bought the e-bike in the first place, because I wanted to carry on cycling without worrying about how my knees might let me down. So I'm coming into the village of Alsager and I'm about to approach a set of traffic lights, which is the intersection of my figure of 8. So I will be revisiting this location, but from the perpendicular direction, so to speak, a little bit later in the ride. But it's a lovely little town, not very large, but quite quaint in its own right. So that's the intersection there that we'll be revisiting later. Now I'm about 9 miles into the ride at the moment and my knees are holding up fine, so they're not giving me any problem, but I can tell that my fitness levels are not as high as they were a little while ago. For one, I'm having to use quite a lot of fairly low gears to get me up little hills like this. Also, my overall speed is not great. Just having a look at the Wahoo now to see what my average speed is. I'm sure it's not very high. It's 10 miles an hour, so I'm not going very quickly at the moment. And just to add insult to injury, I've just been passed by another cyclist, and that's never a good feeling. It doesn't really bother me too much because I'm out this morning just for a fun time, but it's still not a nice thing when you get passed by another cyclist. He was on a lighter bike and he did look like he was a lot fitter than me, so that's my excuse. Just come along a section of road that had a slight incline, but I thought what I would do is just push myself a little bit and put a bit more effort in. And I started climbing the gears, and at one point I was averaging about 18 miles an hour on a slight incline, and I sustained that for about a mile. And so that was quite a decent workout. And despite this being just a ride for fun this morning, it's still good to just every so often just pick the pace up a little bit and just get the old heart muscle going. One of the reasons that I chose this route this morning is because it's a figure of 8. I've got to get down to the bottom end of the figure of 8, and it's the furthest point away from where I live, and that's where we are right now. So this marks the point where I'm going to be going back towards where I live, and that way it meant that I can't just cut the ride short halfway through, because I've got to get out to the farthest point and then now I've got to get back. So there's no cheating at all, and that's the kind of incentive I need to actually just keep me going. This is the village of Bartomley, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Just look at this house here on the left hand side. Really attractive old building, really stunning, and all of the cottages and the houses in this little village are absolutely gorgeous. I think we've got another one coming up just in a minute that's got a thatched roof. So quaint, and just such a lovely part of the world. Here are our thatched cottages. Might have to, there we go, look at that. What a gorgeous property that is. Just have a look at this pub here, another thatched cottage, really full of character, and all of these half-timbered buildings. I think what I'm going to do in my next ride is go out on my old road bike, and that's just an ordinary road bike that doesn't have a motor, because today, yes, a couple of times my knees have just twinged, and really it wouldn't be an old man cycling video if I didn't moan about my knees a little bit, but they've not given me a massive amount of problems. And so I think just to try and not rely on the motor and build my fitness back up, what I'm going to do is just go out completely unaided and just see what the difference is, because I do know that when I ride my road bike I can really tell the difference in how much faster I go. When I'm riding my e-bike it doesn't feel heavy, but when I get back on the road bike I just seem to do quicker average speeds, and so I think that will be useful. I've got about 3 miles left, so I'm just going to go and plod on, and I'll check in with you when I get home. Well, that's been a lovely ride this morning. I've ended up doing slightly more miles than the route planner said I would do, because what happens when I'm filming a video, I end up putting the camera down and biking past it and then going back to pick it up. So I've added about half a mile to my total distance, so I've done about 23 miles in total. But I've felt fit, my knees haven't given me too much trouble, so I think I definitely will be going out on my road bike in my next video. Now, if you have enjoyed today's video, then you can do me a really big favour and click the like, subscribe and the bell notifications so you stay up to date with all of my future content, and it really helps the channel to grow. You can also leave me any comments down below if you've got any suggestions for future videos. They're really welcome. And you can also go over to my Facebook page. But all that's left now is to say, stay safe. It's been great to OMC you, and I'll see you soon. Oh, la, la, da. We're coming up to the second Alsager. Oh no, not another one. Now, one of the reasons I chose, oh shit, I'm here, bollocks. That came quicker than I expected.